The next few chapters will be specifically about RMH loyalty. And we will talk about a little bit of the history of the loyalty solution that we're presenting for RMH. We'll also give a little bit of overview what this loyalty is capable of. There will be some demo. At the end of these slides, there will be some best practices. That's what we've, as a developer of the loyalty solution for many years, figured out while working with our customers and partners. And in the end, we have questions and answers session. All right, so let me get started. About RMH loyalty history, Retail Hero, my original company, I believe there may be a few people who don't know who a Retail Hero is, but if there are still, Retail Hero has been a Dynamics RMS partner since 2005. So over the years, we've become more like an ISV, more developer of all kind of add-ons for RMS rather than being a reseller so much. And we developed a couple dozens of different add-ons, but the most important among them, there were two selling customer loyalty programs. Hero Points for RMS, which also exists for POS 2009, no longer supported anymore. But we sold over 5,000 licenses of Hero Points for RMS, different versions since the first one was appeared in 2006. And then Keywords for RMS, it's another type of a loyalty program which is based on quantity rather than on a dollar value spent at the store. And we also sold quite a few licenses worldwide. Okay, in 2014, when we entered the joint venture with Retail Realm to build RMH as a replacement for Dynamics RMS, I mean, everything's changed. So the RMH development project, it's a little bit of a timeline of RMH development here as well. RMH development started in February 2015, and just about a year after that, when we have already a beta version of RMH, we started on a loyalty project. It commenced in May 2016. So RMH Loyalty is an external solution to RMH. So it's an optional program that is installed separately. It's a pure third-party extension or example of the extension. By building this loyalty system, we also, one of the goals is to test our own SDK, software development kit for the POS that could be used by third-party extension. So it's a pure test. Besides all the good things that loyalty does, it's also from our perspective, it's a testing tool to see how good we designed the POS SDK. So RMH premiere was in August 2016. The loyalty was not available at that time. Some of you may have seen it in the Retail Realm Partner User Conference in Las Vegas in August 2016. And then in November 2016, we launched RMH Update 3.1, and at the same time, we already launched the first version of loyalty, which we also kept numbering consistent with RMH as well. In this month, basically, in a matter of the next couple of days, we're launching the RMH version 3.2, which also coincides with RMH Loyalty version 3.2. As I said again before, it's a separate add-on. It's not installed automatically. So if you plan to use Loyalty, you have to see when you install RMH in the menu, one of the options will be to install Loyalty system. It has to be installed on each point of sale computer where you plan to use it. And but it's again, just keep in mind that it's a separate solution. RMH Loyalty is an add-on for RMH, or as we call it, extension here, and it's a completely complementary. So you don't pay, you don't license, there is no license fee. You can install and use it for free as long as you use RMH. So in RMH Loyalty, we try to combine our experience with both Retail Hero loyalty programs for RMS, Hero Points and Q Rewards. The difference between these two programs, just briefly, Hero Points is based on the dollar value spent. Like say, for example, you spend $100, you get 100 points, or something like that, or the scenarios could be different. The Q Rewards, Q stands for quantity in this name. Q Rewards is based on the quantity purchased of the item. Like, the points are awarded by the quantity of the item, not of the price of the item that is purchased at the store. So that's a major difference, and it applies to different industry, different loyalty scenarios. In the new RMH loyalty program, we actually managed to combine those two together and add much more functionality, which was not existing in previous Hero Points and Hero Rewards. So it's a completely on-premise software integrated with your RMH database. Some people may ask, how do we do it? We go by, we have e-commerce, can we get these points, or is the solution multi-channel? The quick answer for this is not yet. It's a fully on-premise system, exactly the same as RMH itself, but in the future we will enhance and add some multi-channel functionality capabilities as well. The program is very flexible. I will show some of the examples how that could be configured. And it's also very powerful. One of those things that it's so flexible that you can over-configure it very easily. So we need to, if you want to implement loyalty, we would like you to follow the best practices. We have some recommendation how to make your program simple and yet effective. And at the same time, just don't overdo this. So RMH loyalty also make use of new RMH features. As I was saying, this is kind of a test ground for ourselves. As we introduce new features in RMH, we also try to use them in the third-party extensions, such as the loyalty program, to see how it works. So new features in RMH, like coupons and charges, are heavily used in RMH loyalty. For this whole system, the loyalty system, about collecting loyalty points and redeeming loyalty points. In this system, philosophically, we approach redemption or rewarding the customer in a way of discount. There are different ways of how you can apply these things. Like, for example, some loyalty programs use different tender types to offset the transaction. We in our system will always use a discount. So the reward is always some sort of a discount. It could be a delayed discount, like in the form of a coupon. It could be a free item, but it's also a type of discount. So that's important to understand. So the loyalty program is about collecting loyalty value through the means of loyalty point, which is a medium for the loyalty, and redeeming these points for some sort of reward. And the reward in that case is one way or another way it is a discount. So we have three types of point collection, and I will talk about it a little bit later to describe what they are, and 7 types of points redemption. By combining these 3 types of collection and 7 types of redemption, you can achieve like very interesting results in terms of how your loyalty program works. Each of the collection or redemption has a set of refining groups. So they allow you to specify or fine-tune how the points are collected or redeemed. We also have things like accelerators. Accelerators are very important tools when you want to do something like lower the slow time, like for example, reduce slow times in your store. So you want to award accelerators, point multipliers during certain time of the day and things like that. And our system also allows multiple parallel loyalty program, which means that the same customer can participate in more than one loyalty program in your store, essentially collecting points and redeeming points for different products in different ways. Okay. So let's talk a little bit in details about RMH loyalty point collection. So we have 4 ways to collect points. Actually, I said 3 in the past, but it's actually 4 because one of them is a variation of one of the points. So first of all, we can collect points based on the purchase price of the item. Like say, for example, item costs $15, and your rule says that for each point you collect $1. For each dollar you collect 1 point. So that would generate the purchase or sale of this item would generate 15 points in this case. So the other way is to collect points based on quantity. Like for each item purchased, you award 1 point, or 10 points, or 100 points. So the point value grows as the number of purchased items grows. We also have a very interesting mode of awarding point by transaction subtotal. We call it a basket point. This way of loyalty system is quite popular in some sort of a grocery store, where they award points for the bottom line, like the subtotal of the transaction. Like say, for example, you get 10 points if your subtotal is or more. You get no points if you're below 50. It's very important, very functional, effective system that allows to gradually raise the average ticket in the store. And we also can award points per visit. It's a variation of quantity points, same as Q rewards, for example. And there are several different ways of redeeming the points. We can redeem the points as a dollar discount. We can redeem points as percent discount. The reward could be applied as subtotal offset, which is different from any discount because actually it's not discount any individual item, but just offsets the subtotal. We also can use coupons. The coupon can follow the same pattern, so we can apply a dollar value of coupon, percentage of coupon, subtotal offset coupon, and there is also additional. It's a variant of dollar off redemption. It's called reward item. Right? It's basically a discounted or free item or a gift as a form of redemption or loyalty redemption. In RMH loyalty, we have many advanced features. Like, for example, you can create item groups, or we call it incentive groups in the system, to apply different rules to those items collecting or redeeming points. You can combine customer into the groups and create some sort of clubs that could collect different levels of points, like, for example, multipliers or just completely different rules for different type of customers. As I mentioned before, the loyalty program can be like a store, one single store can employ several different loyalty programs of different types and different rules, which would be applied, of course, to the different item groups and different customers. You cannot really mix and match rules applying to the same items and to the same customers, because then the program will get confused very much. So you have to be very careful, but if you follow the rules and apply, then you have a capability of applying different rules to different items and different groups. In the system, you have 4 types of points accelerators. These are multipliers that provide additional incentive to the customers. 4 types are, first of all, happy hour. It's a slow time of the day. You can specify certain days of the week and time spans when the customer multiply points, for example, by 2, like double points from 3 to 5 o'clock every Monday. Promo, for example, if you publish a promo or open a new store and say, well, the customers from March 1st to March 31st, everyone comes to the store, gets triple points, for example. That's a date promo type of multiplier. We also can have different multipliers and spend amount. This is a great way to encourage loyalty in the customer. So it looks at the customer spend history and say, for example, if the customer spent $1,000 in your store historically, then they will get double points. If they spend $2,000 historically, then they will get triple points, and so on. And we also can create customer clubs, combine the customers into clubs and award them different multipliers based on what club they belong to. Some merchants, for example, would even sell the membership in such a club, like Gold Club or Platinum Club, and the customers will get different points and therefore different type of discounts. In the version 3.2, we have two new features. First of all, we added customer management, so now you can go to the customer details and add or remove points for certain reasons. Basically, manage the points for the customers manually, so the manager can do that. Sometimes they have to adjust the points for some reason. And we also included some basic reports into the back office manager of RMH. Now let's take a look at how multiple loyalty programs may work in a single store. I'm showing a scenario which is quite typical for a pet store industry. For example, they have an industry-wide system that is called frequent buyer. And frequent buyer, what it is, it's a quantity-based system that combines certain items of certain qualities or characteristics into small groups, and purchase from any group increases the count. And when the count reaches, say, for example, 10, then the 11th item from the same group gets free or 50% discount, things like that. So that's how in general frequent buyer works. The problem is they usually combine the items from the same vendor and the same size. Like for example, if we're talking about dry food bags, that would be 40-pound bag from the same vendor of different flavors. So the items would be kind of the same price range, the same format, so to speak, but there will be different flavors. And so 5, 6 different flavors of the bag, they constitute this incentive or item group. And each purchase from that item group would increase the count towards the final reward, which is given as a free bag, so every 11th bag, so to speak, free. But then, of course, I mean, the store carries thousands of similar items, and so you can combine. You will be able to combine these items from different vendors into separate groups. So one store may have multiple of these small loyalty programs for each particular brand and each particular vendor, and particularly the food bag size. So it could be like 100 different loyalty programs. The customer may purchase from one program and for another program because, for example, they may have a dog and cat, and so they will be purchasing different items from different groups. And that's why they have each of these groups will have a separate count pointing towards the end to endpoint reward. And at the same time, they may have a different type of loyalty program altogether, like point-based system that you can see at the bottom, based on price, and it applies to something that is not pet food, something like accessories, for example. For accessories, they would use just a general price-based loyalty program, the reward for which would also apply back to the same item groups. It would not apply to any dog food or cat food, but only to the accessories. So that's an example of multiple loyalty programs running in the same store at the same time. So now let's take a look at the anatomy of the loyalty program. A loyalty program consists of two basic things, or a concept. It's a collection schedule. So schedule by schedule, we mean like set of rules, essentially. Collection schedule and redemption schedule. So in order to create a loyalty program, you have to create those two entities. Without that, a loyalty program does not exist. Collection schedule determines how the points are collected, and redemption, of course, how they are redeemed, in which form. So by creating a collection schedule, you select a collection type. First of all, it could be price points or basket points or quantity points, and then you set up a set of the collection rules. And then you can apply optional things like accelerators, item groups, customer groups. So that becomes your collection. Then you create a redemption schedule that, again, you choose the type of that redemption schedule. Could be a dollar discount or a percentage discount or vice versa, coupon, something like that. And then you define specific rules for that collections, the redemption schedule. You can refine this, you can make it more feasible. And then you can say apply further restriction, like say, for example, this redemption only applies to certain customer groups and certain item groups. So the customers outside of particular group would not be able to use these points altogether. And then you combine this all together into a loyalty program. The loyalty program can also have optional things like effective date span, which means that this loyalty program will only be active from, say, April 1st until June the 2nd, something like that. Or it's completely optional. If you don't define a date span, that means that it's active right away and will not gonna get finished. Yeah. In the loyalty program, that's a little bit technical here, but in the loyalty programs, we also employ something we call the loyalty badge. A loyalty badge is a mechanism to see, basically it's for reporting purposes mainly, and you will see some of that on the reporting. It's the mechanism to see how, what's the process of the loyalty, how the loyalty works. Excuse me, please. How the loyalty works here. And so the loyalty badge becomes when the customer comes to the store first, and then they choose to to make a first purchase. The first purchase is made, then the loyalty badge is open for that particular loyalty program. The loyalty badge is open when the first loyalty transaction happened, and then you can see here on the screen they collected the points after the badge is open, then they come next time, make another purchase. The loyalty points are applied to that particular badge again. Then after some times, they have enough point to redeem the points. So they come to the store, the points are redeemed, the reward is applied. What happens at this point, this old loyalty badge is closed and a new badge is open. If the old badge had a remainder of the points on a badge which were not used, they would be transferred to the new badge. So by using these badges, we will be able to see in the redemption how our loyalty programs work. What's the time span between first collection and final redemption? How much money is spent during this time? And things like that. So it's a very important mechanism that we introduced to analyze for analysis of the loyalty systems here. Okay, so here's the time for our first demonstration. It's a recording, so I will just follow along. This is Loyalty Manager. It's not integrated with Back Office Manager. It's a separate program. So when you install Loyalty, you will see that icon, looks like L, RMH L, and you will launch this application, this Loyalty Manager. Loyalty Manager has several tabs, vertical tabs here, which present different functions in the system. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to create a loyalty program. As I mentioned before, the loyalty program collects at least two basic features. It's a collection and it's redemption. Excuse me. So let's create a first collection schedule. I'm calling it Hero Points style, sorry for the typos, Hero Points style collection. And you notice that the type that I choose price point. There were two other options, but I choose the price point. It means that we'll be collecting points. Rule here is that we have to select how many points per unit we are going to award. In this case, is 1 point per unit, which means that 1 point per dollar spent. You can award like 100 points or 1,000 points. It doesn't matter. It's a preference that you can see. But I just wanted to make it very, very simple here. The other optional rule that I will be adding here, I think, is rounding. Yes, because again, it's 1 point per dollar. That means that without rounding, if you spend 155, it will generate 1.55 points. So I want to round it to the nearest, and so 155 would incur like 1.0 point in this case. So let's save that. So we have, we have a collection schedule now. So after creating collection schedule, we need to make a redemption schedule. We need to tell the system how to redeem the points. And let's say there are different ways, seven different ways of redeeming this. So I will select a dollar discount. And again, it's very typical how it used to work in Hero Points. So some of you who are familiar with Hero Points would recognize this. So dollar discount. Again, I have to define the mandatory rules here, and the first one will be points, value point per reward value per point. In this case, we're saying that default is for 100 points we give $10 discount. But it doesn't finish there. What you can do, you can actually, for this type of loyalty program, you can apply different redemption levels. 200 points for $20, or $20 for 200 points. And I think I will add a third one. Yes, $30 for 300 points. Okay, so now we have 3 levels of discounts. Depends on how many points the customer have. They can choose how many points to redeem if they have sufficient points. And another very necessary option here is a reason code, because again, we apply this as a standard discount at the POS system. we need to provide the reason code for that. It also, this specific reason code, it should be very specific to the loyalty program. It shouldn't be used for any other purpose in RMH. This is discount reason code. It has to be created in the back office first before we can use it. But this reason code will be attached to the loyalty discounts in the POS, and it's very important for the purpose of reporting, because then you will be able to easily identify loyalty discounts. Now I'm creating a loyalty program, and for loyalty I have to select collection and redemption at the minimum. There are a couple optional rules as well, which I'm not going to use. Now we have a loyalty program. It's called Hero Points, right? We've created the first loyalty program, and the video is about to finish. All right, so let's see how this loyalty program will play at the POS. So now we're looking at the POS screen. I start the demonstration. So the loyalty program requires the customer, of course, and you look up the customer the same way as you normally do in RMH. Let's say it's Christina. And if the loyalty program is installed, you will see something new in this tab. You will see in the info panel, you will see a loyalty tab. Currently, it just states the customer name and address and no more information. That's because the customer has not collected any points yet. Now, we just defined a very universal program, which basically will apply loyalty to any item that is sold here. So let's add a couple items here. My goal is to reach $100 because that's the lowest minimum, lowest level of discounts. But of course, I mean, it could be gradually, this amount of points could be gradually raised over the course of the several transactions. So let's tender it. Okay, and take a look at the receipt. Loyalty program comes with customized receipt. It has this little section at the bottom of it. And it says general loyalty. General loyalty is the name of your loyalty system, and you can put whatever. It's customizable in the receipt settings. So, but now it says, okay, so there's a little table. So in Hero Points loyalty program, it shows the type of the loyalty program and how many points the customer currently has after this finished transaction, and whether or not the customer is eligible for redemption in the next level. And also there is a remainder. Either there are multiple levels or the customer has not reached the level yet available for redemption. It will show you how many points are needed for the next level, so to speak, for the next level of redemption. Okay, so the customer's coming back, and now we see when we ring it up at the till, we see that now we have points for the customer, 111 points, and yes, it is eligible. It's because if you remember, we had redemption for 3 levels, 100 points, 200 points, and 300 points. Okay, so now let's sell the customer any item. And again, because I did not apply any restrictions, so this item would be eligible to receive a discount from the loyalty program. Okay, so the price of this item, $44. I go to tender, and now I see a pop-up. The pop-up shows me the available discount, available reward for this item. It's the only one out of 3 levels is $10 for 100 points, because of course my total of my points is only 111, not less than 200 or 300 points. So that's the only available discount. I can select it, or I can actually click cancel. Could click cancel, and the customer would keep receiving the points. So, but I selected this discount. It's the job of the cashier to ask the customer at this point, do you want to redeem your points? They say yeah. So we select this, tender the transaction. And what happens here is that this new transaction, if you take a look at it, it deducted some point, but it also generated the points, because I never really applied a restriction not to collect points on the redemption. So whatever was the discount, the subtotal of this transaction was 34 points. So the customer redeemed 100 points and collected at the same time 34 points more because of this value. In this case, we're allowing to collect the points even through the discounted or rewarded transaction. It's completely optional. You can disable this feature. Okay, so now the points is 45 points for the customer after this transaction, and the transaction has been discounted. So that's a demonstration of a simple price point loyalty program. Let's take a look at another one. So I want to create, in addition to hero points, I want to create a quantity-based program, show you how multiple programs work at the same time. So let me switch again to the collection tab and start building a new loyalty system based on the quantity points. And before I do that, I have to create an incentive group, because again, even going back to the pet food demonstration, pet food store demonstration, they apply quantity programs based on specific items. Okay, it doesn't really make sense to apply quantity to any item that's have absolutely different prices and things like that. So usually you apply the quantity program to the item that have very similar price and very similar parameters. It's like in this case, I don't have pet food, but I have a bunch of T-shirts, and those T-shirts, they all come for the same price. I believe $100. So what I want to do is create a loyalty program that would award 1 point for any item purchased from that particular group. The item is T-shirts, essentially. I'm showing here that not only individual items, but you also can apply this for particular departments and categories. Not going to do this, but in case you wonder, yes, you can apply to not to individual items, but just to entire departments. So now I'm creating redemption, and redemption would be type of collection. The collection would be type of a quantity points, and you'll see what will happen. So I call it Q rewards type collection. Again, some of you who might be familiar with Q rewards will definitely recognize the pattern here. And now I will add that include incentive group. You see that? There's a lot of rules. Incentive group is an optional thing, but in this case it's highly recommended, of course. So we have to select the incentive groups now, which means that this incentive group, all T-shirts that select as part of this incentive group would participate in this program. Each T-shirt purchase would generate a point. The non-optional component here is to how many points we award per purchase, because it's quantity. It's you purchase one, you generate so many points. In this case, 1 point per purchase. Doesn't matter how much the item costs, it's just 1 point per purchase. So that's a collection schedule for this. And the redemption schedule is here. Okay, so let's add it. So reward item, redemption type of quantity reward again. And the type is a reward item. So essentially, this type of reward will either give for free or a significant discount, the amount of discount you define for a particular item in a transaction. Okay. And there's one mandatory rule that we have to apply here. Actually, 2. So reward value per points. You'll see it's slightly different from what you saw for the price discount. It says how many points and how many rewards you're giving and at which discount you give a reward. So in this case, it says, well, for 10 points, I give 1 item at 100% discount. I could change it a little bit. I could, give it a 50% discount, or I can change, from instead of 10 points, you can give 12 points, things like that. So the other thing is I could apply it to specific item incentive group, but I don't have to, because I want to apply it to the same item group where we collect it. So there's a rule, applies to the same incentive group as the collection, which means it's very interesting. Like, for example, if you create multiple collection rules, including different incentive groups, you could still use the same redemption rule for all of them. So you don't have to double your work every time, you know, create both collection and redemption for each separate loyalty program. You know what I mean? So just multiple collection rules, because there's multiple incentive group to collect the points, but there's only one collection rule, which says that this rule will apply to the same collection group as to the same incentive group as a collection item, collection schedule. So I'm creating a loyalty now here. Again, loyalty. It should include one collection, one redemption schedule. Okay, so yeah, I save, and now we have two loyalty programs in parallel. One is Hero Points, another one is Q Rewards Type Force, which specifically apply to T-shirts. All right, so let's see how that works out at the POS. It's another demonstration. And it's going to be shorter. I will not go through the full cycle. I'll just show how these new points are collected. This is the same customer. You see that they already have Hero Points that we did in the previous exercise. But now let's sell this customer one of the T-shirts. Remember, they started with Batter. So here's the T-shirt, $200 actually, not $100. And I tender it. It prompts me to redeem the points, but it's Hero Points. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that. Technically speaking, you could have just still used that and discount for Hero Points, but it would still generate 1 point for the new loyalty program, which is quantity-based. Now, if we take a look at the receipt, you see that the customers now participate in the next new loyalty program, which is Q Rewards for T-shirts, and it has the customer has 1 point now. And it's not eligible because there's 9 points more to get before we get to the redemption point. So 9 more T-shirts they have to purchase over the time. Okay, so yeah, so that's how it works. So when we select this customer again, we'll see that this info panel is now updated, and it contains the information about new loyalty system here. All right. So I will not go through the process of redeeming these points and collecting, you know, the full value. The process is very similar to Hero Points, but you will see that with this each next purchase of the T-shirts, we will get this number of points for that particular program incremented until we finally make it eligible. Okay, so that's it for demonstration. I think we're running out of time. So let me just focus a little bit on the best practices for loyalty program. This is very important, guys, because the tendency is what we've seen among the merchants. They very often try to, you know, kind of implement the loyalty program half-heartedly, so to speak. Like they say, well, everybody else has a loyalty program, so we have to give a loyalty program, but you know, our reward is going to be 0.5% of what they spent, you know, over 10 years or something like that, which is absolutely ridiculous, and the customers do not appreciate this kind of half-hearted experiences. So by working with many retailers and partners, we figured out this list of best practices for loyalty program. And let me go through it. Like, first of all, when you think about implementing a loyalty program, you have to check the local bylaws, because there are some industries in some areas that are prohibited from using loyalty program. For example, pharmacies. In some cases, the pharmacies of drugs and prescription drugs are not allowed to use any loyalty program, so to speak. I've seen this in the past in some areas. The other thing would be alcohol sales, or I don't know, something like restricted substances, the same kind of practices. The loyalty program may not be allowed to use it or even discount any item from this. So check your bylaws. So the second thing is, of course, once you implement the customer loyalty program, you have to market it. You have to put posters around your store, around the till. Have you heard about our loyalty program? You have to, you know, just enroll now and get double points, you know, things like that. Put it on papers, put it online, in the Facebook, things like that. You have to market it, because it's not marketed, people don't know it, people don't appreciate it. The next thing is very, very important. You saw how many different options are in the loyalty program, but I beg you, keep it simple, because if you overcomplicate it, the customers will not understand it, the cashiers will not understand it, there will be a lot of confusion, the customers will be unhappy, and more than less, the program of the software itself is very flexible. So essentially you can run yourself into trouble. You can create such a complex program that you've given away much more than you wanted to, and the customers, just basically make a fortune out of you're just not looking at things. So it's very simple principle here, KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple. The cashier can explain the loyalty, should be able to explain the loyalty program in seconds, and the customer should be able to repeat it. If it's not the case, rethink your strategy. The next thing is also very important, give generously. We've seen that the loyalty program do not work if you give on average less than 10% of loyalty reward. And that's, again, I totally understand the merchants, work on tight margins. They, they want to save money here and there and everywhere. But again, the loyalty program that the customers do not feel the discount, they do not appreciate the loyalty program, so the loyalty program does not work. Instead, you can sacrifice sometimes a discount, but make the money in item turn, because hero points, the loyalty system has certain tools available to you to increase the turn. For example, you can introduce time-limited, time-sensitive coupons. Like, for example, you give a discount or you give a reward in the form of a coupon, but that coupon has to be redeemed within 30 days since the issue. So that's the way to reduce your margins, but at the same time increase the turn. That's where you're making money. Okay. The next thing, reward, not restrict. Again, some people, merchants, we've seen it, they tend to restrict the things. It doesn't apply there, it doesn't apply that. It's, those days of the week it doesn't work. If you pay by credit card, the loyalty doesn't work. Things like that. Do not do that. Instead of restricting, reward the customers more. The more loyal customers use point accelerators, for example, for the loyal customers. Use create custom clubs. Those customers who are more loyal, give them more incentives, multipliers, double points, things like that. That will make your loyalty program more effective. Reduce the slow times. Again, I mentioned points accelerators. Wonderful thing. You can say, for example, Mondays morning is my slow time. I'm going to give double points to everybody who shops on Monday morning. And guess what? After a couple of days, not days, but a couple of months, perhaps, you will see a reduction in slow times here. Provide limited time offers. Coupons is a perfect example. Again, I mentioned it. You can set up a time-sensitive coupon that expires in 3 months. So the customers have to come and shop within these 3 months, otherwise this coupon or discount will expire. Talking about expiration, some people asked us in the past about point expiration. In this particular version, we did not introduce point expiration, but there's quite a few reasons for that. We had it in Hero Points, eventually we discontinued that. So first of all, just psychological, the customers hate points expiration. It's not the same as expiring coupons. The coupon has, coupon has a validity date. With the points expiration is a different story. It may be even some unlawful in some jurisdictions, because in the same way as gift cards cannot expire, like the law says that in some jurisdictions the gift cards will never expire. It's because the revenue agency may see the loyalty points as a sort of liability that you're giving to the customer, and therefore they will prohibit you from expiring the points. In any case, we find that point expiration is not a good idea, so try to avoid it. If you have abundance of unused points, find a way to deal with that. Offer extra incentive to the customer to come and redeem these points and things like that. You have reporting, by the way, to see what's going on with your system. So that's about it, and now we're open for questions and answers.